Hey, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate you for clicking on the video. Gotta talk about the NBA playoffs, which get underway this weekend, which means by Friday night, we will know who the 8 seeds will be. If you haven't caught up with the play-in tournament yet, the 7 seeds we know, with the Lakers in the West and then the Sixers in the East. But Friday night, we get 2 games figuring out who the 8 seeds will be. So in the East, it'll either be the Bulls or the Heat, or in the not or plus in the West, you have the Kings versus the Pelicans. Now I will talk about those matchups here in a little bit, but gotta start with this guy over here, over there, Klay Thompson. Yeah, that little screenshot there in the corner with the 0 points and 0 for 10. That's what Klay Thompson contributed to somewhat of a surprising loss to the Kings, because with the Kings, they, sinking, Malik Monk injury, Kevin Huerter injury, seemed like the Kings just couldn't get out of their own way. The Warriors, it seemed like it was the perfect opponent for them to get a win, then face the 7-8 loser to possibly get the 8 seed. But give it up to the Sacramento Kings. They showed up, the whole light the beam, everything, kind of captured the magic that they had last season. Got a win over a team in the Warriors that usually gives them a lot of trouble. But the focus, like I said, Klay Thompson, 0 points, 0 for 10 shooting. He just, I feel like this is the end of it. If you are a Warriors fan or just an NBA fan and you were wondering when the Warriors will probably break it up, I think it happens now. I just don't see the justification almost in I can't say not the justification, because obviously if the Warriors extend a contract that's maybe a little below market value and Klay Thompson's fine with that, I could see him back on the Warriors. But this performance, not scoring in a game you had to have, the most important game of the season at that point, not a good look. After the game, we saw Klay Thompson like slow walk to the locker room, taking the environment. So I think mentally he understands might be it. Not for his career, obviously, because all it takes is one team to necessarily want you, and then you kind of keep going. And Klay Thompson did give glimpses this season of a version of the old Klay Thompson. Not necessarily 100% old Klay Thompson like before the injuries, but we saw some games where he shot well from the perimeter. We saw some games where he was, making drives at the rim, but not against the Kings. He struggled. And because he struggled, that put more of the onus on Steph Curry. And look, at this point, this Warriors team wasn't going to win solely on the back of Steph Curry. Like, Steph Curry would have had to probably drop 45, 50 for them to have a chance against the Kings, and he couldn't do that. This Warriors team, needed Klay Thompson to step up, and he didn't. That's not to say he's, some bum or something, because I've seen great shooters do this before. If you don't remember, I believe there was a game for Ray Allen, I believe when he was with the Celtics, where he went 0 for 13. I remember watching that game, and you could see that at a certain point, Ray Allen was really pressing, trying to get one to go. But some nights, you just don't have it. Unfortunately for Klay Thompson, it was probably the worst night possible. So I definitely want to know from you, like, what do you think? Do you think this is it for Klay Thompson? Because I kind of have the sneaky suspicion that the Warriors will extend him a contract, maybe something like 2 years, I don't know, like 45 or something, 40. And it's just whether or not Klay Thompson would take that at this point. I do think they want to keep him. It's just whether or not Klay wants to stay in Golden State or test the market, maybe go to like a Knicks team or somebody like that who may pay him a little bit more and kind of see if he could resurrect his career just a little bit. But this definitely seems like the end of the Curry, Thompson, Green era. And probably it's probably a necessity at this point. They have to bring in more youth, I guess more diversity to the roster. They got to change it up a little bit. Like if they brought these three back with the other pieces around them, they'd probably be kind of in the same situation as this season. And also in this picture, Andrew Wiggins is a guy who I believe I've heard the Warriors aren't against moving him as well. I don't know what you're gonna get for him when he hasn't been able to regain his, game that he had in the final series against the Celtics when he looked like some of those games was the best player on the court. Hasn't happened. I think he has like 90 million still coming his way. I don't know who's taking that on, but you never know. Maybe if the Warriors attach the pick or something to him, maybe they can move him out. But I just feel like something in the equation in Golden State's gonna have to change. I feel like Curry's gonna be your constant. I think at this point Draymond's probably a constant, but Thompson and Wiggins, there's got to be a change somewhere. And Kuminga, who's in the background in this picture, next year's gonna be an important year for him as well. I feel like he, in terms of the totem pole for the Warriors, he's gonna have to take on a bigger role, bigger responsibility, and up his production for Golden State to kind of hang on to what they have and still be competitive next year. Because look, the Rockets made steps this year. Who's to say they don't make more steps next year? And they could be that team that threatens knocking the Warriors completely out of play-in situation or playoffs. So shout out to the Kings for the win, but definitely seems like the end of an era in Golden State. And these are just like a few observations from the play-in games, and then I'll ESPN has like an NBA playoff predictor, and I'm gonna show you how I think the playoffs will go. Trae Young. Look, I live in the Atlanta area. I have been telling Hawks fans for a couple of years, this guy ain't it. And what did we see against the Bulls? This guy ain't it. He cannot be your number one player and think that you're a legit contender. I get it. Hawks fans, if you watch this, or like any other NBA fan might sit there and say, well, remember that season when we made the Eastern Conference Finals? Why can't we do it again? A lot of things had to happen for the Hawks to get to the conference finals that year. You can't bank on that every year. Remember, the implosion in Philly aided the Hawks. The Knicks being their first round opponent aided the Hawks because the Knicks played well over their head in that regular season. And then we got to the playoffs, we saw they weren't necessarily a 4 seed, I believe it was the 4-5 matchup. So I think what we saw this year, if they continue to move along this slowly moving train with Trae Young, this is kind of what the Hawks are. A play-in team that not really a threat to anybody. Some of you might look at it and say, oh, Trae Young had 22 points and 10 assists. What am I talking about? But look how it happened. He was 11 for 13 from the free throw line. That's all well and good, but he's 4 for 12 from the field. And this is a guy who's supposed to be high efficiency, supposed to be a really good shooter. 4 for 12 in a game you had to have with horrific defense. Sorry. The Hawks can no longer parade this group out there with him as your number one and expect me to think of them any differently than I've already closed the book on Trae Young as a Hawk. I feel like this team does better when DeJounte Murray is your lead guard, not Trae Young. So I fully expect Trae Young to be moved in the offseason. Where? Don't know. I think there's like Vegas odds already. I think like the Lakers are the favorite. Lakers fans, good luck. I mean, sure, it'll be name power, but I don't understand how he moves the needle. And then I've seen, a lot of Atlanta, I think, publications online are talking about, is Trae Young a superstar? Here's the quick, simple answer. No, he's not. Is he a star? Sure. Like if you make an all-star team, you're a star player. But superstar, that's reserved for guys who perform in the playoffs time in and time out, guys who lead their teams somewhat deep in the playoffs time in and time again. Trae Young doesn't do that. Trae Young at some points during this game looked like a guy who was disinterested in actually playing in this game. He had some wild attempt where he tried to get a foul on a three and basically just threw it to the Bulls for a turnover that turned into an easy bucket in transition. So yeah, I fully expect Trae Young to be gone. To be honest with you, I'm here for it, as well as some other moves they need to make. But this guy right here, that's the first thing that has to happen. Once again, Hawks fans, you let me know if I'm talking crazy. Like, do you still think he can lead a Hawks team? Let's not even say a title, but a finals appearance. Can he do that? I'm telling you no. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section, because I'm here for this discussion. So we'll definitely have that down in the comment section, as well as I should say with the first story, but with the playoffs come watch alongs from myself. So if you do decide to tune into one of them, like I said, the socials are up here, whether it's Twitch or YouTube or Facebook. That's where, put the streams up. We can have this conversation during watch alongs. But yeah, Trae Young's not that guy to me. I was never a big Trae Young fan. This is kind of how I expected him to be, a guy who could put up numbers on not a terrible team, but a pretty mid team. And that's what the Hawks are. They're mid. And that's why. Sorry, Trae Young. All right. Zion. I really thought this game with the Lakers, I thought this was the moment where, when I watch the Pelicans, I've always said, everybody's healthy. They have pieces to do something special. Now, this season, they were a top 6 team for a good portion of the season. Final day of the regular season, they decided to phone it in for whatever reason, put themselves in this situation that they had to play in the play-in to try to earn their way to a playoff spot. Zion played, 36, 37 minutes, was unstoppable. 40 points, 11 rebounds. Lakers couldn't do anything with him. He got to wherever he wanted to. He scored at will. And then that moment happened. Game tied, goes to the hoop. I believe he scored on the bucket. Comes down, grimacing. Walks to the bench with this expression, pulling the jersey over his head because he clearly knew what happened, and then walked out to the locker room, never to be seen again in that game. And we also know he's out for the Friday night game where the Pelicans are trying to earn the 8th seed against the Kings. Zion's not playing in that game either. I think the initial thing was leg soreness, which I was a little confused by that, but I think he's supposed to have an MRI done. I'd have to look up and see what came of that, but yeah, leg soreness is what they said during the game, which, that can happen. But the fact that he's not available for Friday really, really delivers a blow to the Pelicans' chances. The Kings are riding high off of that Warriors win. They will be ready for New Orleans. Now, the game is in New Orleans, so maybe with Zion out, Brandon Ingram steps up. But I just want to say, Zion had the 41 and 11, 5 assists. I think the 11 rebounds is probably most important. Well, not most important because the 40 is pretty big deal, but I'd seen a lot of games with Zion where he'd get like 5, 6 rebounds, and I feel like he's a guy who should average a double double with his athleticism, his body, big body. He can hold off guys, get rebounds. For some reason, just doesn't happen a lot. But yeah, I believe if Zion finished the game, I think the Pelicans were going to steal this one because the Lakers had a lead early, and then something clicked, and the Pelicans just started going off. But the Lakers took care of it, despite what Mike Greenberg on ESPN thought of them throwing it to try to get Oklahoma City. The Lakers got the win to now face the Nuggets, which I'll talk about here in about 2 seconds. But yeah, this image right here is something that we've seen way too much from Zion in a Pelicans uniform, unfortunately. Like I said, this game was like a window into the possibilities if Zion were healthy. Now, I don't know necessarily if they win Friday, what does that do for a Zion timeline? Like, would he maybe miss the first couple of games of a first round series and then try to come back? Or is this leg thing such a hindrance to him that he'd probably miss the first round and maybe would come back for the second round? I don't know, but yeah. Like, it felt bad because, like I said, he was going off. Just, whew, it was a masterpiece until he hobbled off straight to the locker room. So, I mean, look, I've seen a lot of people saying that because of this, the Pelicans can't necessarily trust Zion anymore. But maybe this was because he played like 69 games in the regular season. Most he's played as a pro. You could see like the body transformation this season. So maybe that body transformation continues next year, and maybe he's a little bit more durable next year. I don't know. But it was a teaser, the game against the Lakers for Pelicans fans. Now, can they get it done against the Kings and hopefully get Zion back for a series against the Thunder? We'll see. But speaking of the NBA postseason, just want to bring this up. Here we go. Hopefully you can see that with all the black in the background, but just want to do this really quickly to round out the video, give you my thoughts on how the playoffs will go. So I will say the play-ins in the one, I think in the East we get, well, Jimmy Butler's out, Terry Rozier's out. I have a sneaky suspicion the Bulls might get it done Friday night and become the 8th seed. For the West, part of me thinks the Kings get it done. But I don't think that changes anything. I would take the 2-1 seeds. I think for the Celtics, I feel like they beat the Bulls in 6. Yeah. Because I do think the Bulls are actually playing really well right now. I think the Bulls, would probably get a game at home, maybe take a game in Boston, but then Boston ultimately ending it in 6 in Chicago. But I think the Bulls would be very competitive. They have DeRozan, who's scoring right now, Kobe White coming off his 40-point game against the Hawks. You got Vucevic, who can, play on the perimeter a little bit, and he can bang on the boards. So it'd be an interesting matchup, but I do think the Celtics will get it done. And for the Thunder, I think Thunder Kings would be wildly entertaining. I honestly think the Kings could knock off the Thunder in an 8-1 matchup, but I'll take the Thunder in 7 over the Kings. Let's go the 4-5 matchups. In the East, I'm going to go with the Magic. I just haven't liked what I've seen from the Cavs a lot of this season. I think the Magic are a type of team to give Cleveland some issues because the Magic are going to play a physical brand. I think was it Wagner? Might be a problem in that series. I would take the Magic in. I'll take the Magic in 6 over the Cavs. The West, Clippers, Mavericks might be like a spotlight series for a lot of people. When I think about that one, it comes down to Paul George, Kawhi Leonard versus Luka and Kyrie, obviously. I think Harden is a wild card of sorts, and Harden's more of a facilitator to those other two. And to be honest with you, I think, well, look, I feel like, Kawhi's kind of banged up right now. Even though he's going to be in the Olympics, apparently. But if Kawhi's not 100%, give me the Mavericks. If Kawhi, maybe it's just a little soreness or something that he's dealing with, but come game 1 or 2, he kind of breaks out of it, shows the Kawhi that we know, sure. But I think I'm going to go with the Mavericks here. Give me the Mavericks in 7. Could be an instant classic type of series, but give me the Mavericks in 7. I think Luka and Kyrie are enough to take down the Clippers, which, I mean, Ballmer might lose his mind. As remember, the Clippers open their new arena next season. So that is a thing that's happening. I'm interested to see how that goes. But yeah, I'll take the Mavericks in. I mean, 4 or 5, you can't really call it an upset, but the lower seed winning in that one. All right, the 3-6 matchups. To be honest with you, I could make an argument for both 6 seeds, but I'll start in the East. Giannis is going to miss like the first 2 or 3 games. I think that's a death wish, to be honest with you. Because at that point, you're going to need Damian Lillard to turn back to Portland Dame Lillard, which even Portland Dame Lillard was a lot of first-round exits. But there's a problem to me when your 6th man in Bobby Portis is like your second best player. There's a problem there to me. And that's second best player when Giannis was playing. I think Bobby Portis was better than Dame Lillard. So it's going to be fascinating to see how probably the one athletic player in Giannis is going to miss a couple of games against the Pacers team that can be very athletic, get out and run. I hope the Pacers still run in the playoffs. I know a lot of people are like, well, the game slows down in the playoffs. If I'm Indiana, my only shot is to outrun teams. So I'm going to take the Pacers in that one. I think the Pacers might get it done in 6, to be honest with you. So I'll take Pacers in 6 as the 6th seed, moving on to the second round. Suns, Timberwolves, I go back and forth on this one. I can see the Timberwolves defense maybe frustrating the Suns, who have been inconsistent at times this year. But I think a big factor for Minnesota is going to be Cat. Will Cat play closer to the rim, knowing that the only rim protection the Suns really have is like Kevin Durant? And Kevin Durant doesn't want to hang around the rim too often at his age. I think this is a matchup that Cat, if he has the right mindset, should be able to create havoc in the post. Problem is, he does not like it. He loves being on the perimeter. And look, maybe he has a good series. I don't know how to go with this one, to be honest with you. I think if you look at it, the trio of Beal, Durant, and Booker should outplay Anthony Edwards, Gobert, and Cat. Yeah, I'm going to take the Suns. Give me the Suns in 7. I don't know. I don't know. This series will go either way. I'll take the Suns in 7. All right, the 2-7 matchups. Let's start in the East again. Knicks, Sixers. That might be a brutal battle. Because I could see, look, Embiid likes to get physical. Hartenstein, physical. Brunson, physical. You know, Maxi's usually crashing into some bodies. Like, this is a series that could be like a black and blue. Something gets taken away from the winner physically. Maybe they're a little bit worse for the wear come the second round against the Pacers, as I have it. Embiid is the best player in this series when healthy. And so far, he's looked healthy since he's come back. except for the Heat game, he did struggle early on, but really turned it on late. The Knicks are obviously the good story. Knicks is a 2 seed. A lot of New York fans are thinking wild. I'm looking at you, Stephen A. But this is another one. I could see Knicks in 7. I could see Sixers in 7. The key might be OG Anunoby. Although at times I do think Brunson tries to kind of go Donovan Mitchell mode and just isolate a lot, and he can sometimes get caught up in the moment and take some iffy shots, but I might go with the Tom Thibodeau Knicks in this one. I'm going to take the Knicks in 7. But once again, if I'm wrong on that one, I did say I could see Sixers in 7. This is like a toss-up series. Nuggets Lakers. Once again, Mike Greenberg said this is the team the Lakers should have avoided. Do I agree? No, I don't agree you should avoid them. Does that mean I have them winning the series, though? I want to say no. But I do think the Lakers have a really good chance to get the Nuggets in the first round. I feel like teams that are heavy favorites, because the Nuggets are like the heavy favorite to make it back to the finals, they usually take a little bit to get going in the first round. So if the Lakers can steal one of the 2 games in Denver, I think the Lakers are in a great position to make it a long series, which then at that point, all bets are off. But part of me thinks I think the Nuggets get it done. But I'm not going to say it's like a sweep like the Western Conference Finals were last year. I'm not going that far. I'm not even going to go gentleman's sweep, as in 4-1, 5 games done. I think it's the Nuggets in 6 and 6 hard-fought games. So give me the Nuggets in 6. All right, so now let's look at the second round. We'll try to. I actually have like the same match of 1-5, 2-6 on both sides. So there's probably a good chance this doesn't happen. But Celtics Magic, I'll take the Celtics in part of me thinks it might be Celtics in 5. Maybe 6. But I'll take the Celtics in 5 against Orlando. So I do think as the Celtics get past the first round, I think they really come into their own. I think Porzingis would be the big swing of the pendulum towards the Celtics in this one, and why I think it probably ends kind of soon. Not a sweep. I respect for what the Magic are doing. I respect for Mosley, the coach, Banchero, and those young guys in Orlando, that I think they get at least a game, maybe even sneak out a second game. But I'm gonna take the Celtics in this one. I'm gonna give me the Celtics in 5. Pacers Knicks is interesting. I think I would go with the Knicks, only because the Pacers don't play a lot of defense. I think the Pacers wouldn't necessarily want the physicality from New York. So I think because of that, the Knicks would prevail in this one. Now, part of it's going to be if Knicks Sixers is a 7-game grueling series, as it possibly could be, then the Knicks might be way too beat up for a Pacers team that, like I said, should be out running and gunning. But I'll take the Knicks over the Pacers in 6 games. All right, out west, they got Thunder Mavericks. And once again, this is if the Thunder get past the Kings. Because if I'm the Thunder, I look at the Kings and the Pelicans, only because the Pelicans, I don't know if Zion's going to be available. I do think both teams create some challenges. The Pelicans have a little bit more length, but I think the Kings are probably the more athletic group. So if they get past that, facing a Mavericks team in the second round, not necessarily great for them. I think Luka and Kyrie, man, this is tough. I'd give it to the Thunder. I say the Thunder would beat the Mavericks in 7. Yeah, I think it's a series that would go back and forth. You'll probably get a great Luka game. You might get a great Kyrie game. You'll get a great SGA game. Probably get two great SGA games. Like I said, you might get like alternating great games from Luka and Kyrie. And then in the 7th game in Oklahoma City, I think it's like a tight game down to the final minute or so. Yeah, I think the Thunder just make one more play than the Mavericks and move on in 7. So give me Thunder over the Mavericks. So I did both East. Okay, so second West, Nuggets and the Suns. Yeah, I think at this point the reigning champs in the Nuggets will probably be clicking on all cylinders. I think they have a really good roster to frustrate Phoenix with guys like Aaron Gordon and Christian Braun and Jokic over Nurkic and all that. So I would take the Nuggets in 6 over the Suns. So now we're into the conference finals. Once again, I have 1 versus 2, 1 versus 2. So I had upsets early on. Now everything shakes out. You get 1 versus 2. So starting in the East, look, Celtics Knicks, the NBA would love to see that. A callback to historical franchises, Boston and New York, the great rivalry that's there across multiple sports. That would be great theater. The NBA would sit back, wipe their hands off, and just enjoy the ride. It would be a great showcase for Brunson. The deeper he goes into playoffs, it's definitely great for him. Porzingis versus his former team. The team that drafted him, love that. I would take the Celtics over the Knicks in 6. I think the Knicks will have a great showing. The Garden crowd would be happy with how the Knicks are progressing, but I just think the Celtics have too much talent for them. So I think like the couple of Knicks wins, they'll be able to, muddy it up a little bit, keep the scoring down, and steal a couple of games. But yeah, I'll take the Celtics in 6. Thunder Nuggets. Now, yeah, I feel like at this point, the Thunder would be way ahead of schedule, making a conference finals already. But I think the champs and the Nuggets will be too much for them. The experience that's there will be too much for the Thunder. Like I said, the Thunder won't be embarrassed. They'll make it interesting. But I honestly think the Nuggets would probably beat the Thunder in like 5. But it'd be entertaining 5-game series, if that's possible. And then kind of where maybe the most boring prediction of finals matchup, Celtics and Nuggets. That's probably the favorite amongst a lot of, gambling sites and NBA fans. But look, this is the matchup that, once again, I think the NBA wants this. 2 teams that play similar styles, ball movement, man movement, star power, Jokic, Tatum, Murray, Brown. Even outside of that, like Gordon, Holiday, Mike Malone, Mazzulla. Still has a lot of detractors. I like him as a coach. I think if we get this, we deserve a 7-game series. So I think we get a 7-game series. Now, with the Celtics being the number 1 seed in the NBA, that game 7 is in TD Garden. And if you don't think that crowd in a game 7 will look, Celtics crowds in the playoffs are one of the best in the NBA. That's not even a homer thing, because yes, I am from Boston. I'm a Celtics fan. I get that. But that crowd is one of the best. I'm not going to say the best because there's other great crowds out there. Golden State's crowd in the playoffs, pretty good. Knicks crowd, pretty good. Sixers crowd, pretty good. The Lakers crowd, pretty good. So there's a lot of good crowds in the playoffs. But that Celtics crowd, it's a little different. It hits a little different. So I think we get a 7-game series. I think the 7th game is a back and forth affair. I think the Celtics get it done. I feel like the weight will be off of Tatum and Brown, which might be the worst thing for the league. Because if they win a title this year, go into next year playing just loose and free, they might be a problem. I'm just going to say. So like I said, this is not a homer pick, even though I ended up picking my team. But I just have a feeling that each round in the East that they navigate, I think they look better and better. So I'm telling you this now. There's going to be some games in the first round where Celtics fans are going to get upset. They're going to be shrugging their shoulders and moaning and grunting because it doesn't look picture perfect. Trust me, I understand that. But just understand, part of the process. And I will be doing watch-alongs for a lot of those Celtics games. So if you want my honest opinion during those games, check me out when they're playing. I'm going to try to do as many Celtics games as I can, but it's not just Celtics games. I'm going to do other postseason games as well. So don't think that, you only have to be a Celtics fan to watch the watch-alongs. No, not at all. So make sure notifications are on. That way, when I go live, you'll see which games I'm doing. You join, and we'll have some fun interacting. But yeah, so this is how I have it. I have the Celtics beating the Nuggets in a 7-game series to win the NBA title. But yeah, so this was done on ESPN. You can go ahead and, create your own bracket. Actually, I may create a group like for Chomping at the Bit. So if you see this video and you want to do your own bracket, I'll put it in the description under the video. Yeah, I'll do that. Let's have some fun with it. Yeah. Also on the Discord, there's a Discord I have. I keep telling you all this. That's up there. Join the Discord. I'll put it in there as well. So if you want to join it, we'll see who has the best bracket. I mean, obviously, you see how mine goes. Yours may be different. We'll see who comes out on top at the end. But appreciate you tuning in. I mean, obviously, this is a little bit longer video than normal, but I had to go through all these matchups. It's all good. So thanks again. Appreciate it. Go back and check out some of the other videos as well while you're here. Check out some of the gaming streams over on Twitch. I just did MLB The Show one earlier. Had a lot of fun. Have a Madden stream coming up later. So greatly appreciate it. Be safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next video, which at this point might be a watch along on Saturday. I'll try to do one Saturday, one Sunday. If I could squeeze 2 out each day, I'll definitely do that. But yes, so be safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next video. I'm out of here. You enjoy the rest of your day. All right.